Hi, today I want to talk about how to take back control of an interview where you've lost all control. Many of us have had that kind of interview where it just goes off the rails for different reasons. So here are a couple of scenarios that I've heard candidates talk about, and hopefully I've not made those errors, but how you can overcome some of these control issues. So the first one is your interviewer is completely distracted. They're looking at their watch, looking at their email. So there are a couple things you can do. You can either change the tone of your voice, the speed of your voice, or you can just be direct and ask them, is there another time would be a better time to interview? Now, it has to be delivered very smoothly because you don't want to insult the person, but you do want to acknowledge the fact that perhaps they're distracted. And there's a way to do that. Second thing is they're not asking the right questions. They're asking maybe irrelevant questions, and you're not getting a chance to showcase what you bring to the table. So you can ask the question, would you like me to talk about a time when I so-and-so? It's kind of leading the interviewer, but you have a short amount of time. You want to make sure you showcase what you have. You can also go right ahead and tell them about a time that you did XYZ. Hopefully it's subtle and they don't notice that you're bringing them back on track. There's some interviewers that just talk way too much instead of asking a lot of questions. So you need to make sure that you get your point in without interrupting and bringing them back on course. Also, go right ahead and tell them, give them examples of some of the things that you've done that are relevant, obviously, to the job. You're going to have to take control of the interview if they're rambling on and not paying attention to asking you the right questions to find out if you're the right candidate for the job. What about if the interviewer never asks you, do you have any questions? Well, go right ahead and ask them at the end of the interview, I have a couple of questions. Do you have a couple more minutes? Now, don't bombard them. You don't want to come out with 7 questions firing at them. But if they forgot to ask you that question, maybe reserve your top 2 questions for them instead of going out over a list. Maybe they're cutting the interview short because they've run out of time, or there's something not going right for them. But make sure you have a chance to ask your questions. And that's also a way of showcasing your interest in the job and your knowledge in the job. And maybe another point of the interviewer, they're not giving you a chance to showcase your strengths. This is where you need to make sure that you reiterate the things that you bring to the table. You can do that post-interview by a quick email. I've seen some post-interview emails that are just way too long. They're a novel. It's very difficult to read those kinds of things. Get to point form and let them know exactly what you bring to the table. I make sure the summary is brief. I'm Dawn Williams. I can reach on Twitter. Happy selling.